Ms. Mcgraw, after growing up in the foster care system just 4 months ago, you found the man whom you believe to be your biological father, the defendant, Freeman Mcgraw Jr.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you've brought him to court in order to prove that he is your father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mcgraw, you say that you are not the father of Ms. Mcgraw and that you've been very forthcoming with her about this fact. You state you are absolutely certain you can't be her father based on the simple truth that you were away on military assignment when her mother conceived.
Yes,
So,
Honor.
Ms. Mcgraw, please tell the court, why do you believe Mr. Mcgraw Jr. is your biological father?
Well, I mean, growing up, I've always known he was my dad. You know, like my grandmother told me, my cousins told me. I have a picture, of my father, growing up. I have my birth certificate, so he was the only person that I've ever known to be my dad.
You brought that picture to court?
Yes, I did.
May I see that?
Yes, and I have my birth certificate
And
as
you
well.
also said he's on your birth certificate?
Yes, I have the original
Oh, I'd like to see that.
birth certificate.
So this first item of evidence is a family photo.
That's my mom, that's my dad, and that's my brother here, and then the babies, that's me. So, you can imagine, there's no other way that I can think that someone else is my dad, if I'm presented with a picture like, hey, this is your father.
And then I look on this original birth certificate and I see Freeman Mcgraw Jr. listed as father.
Yes.
Mr. Mcgraw, did you sign the birth certificate?
No, Your Honor, I didn't. She signed the birth certificate.
Who signed the birth certificate?
The mother.
So you weren't there?
Did you know your name was listed?
Not for a long time, I didn't.
Really?
Not for a long time. I never saw any of the paperwork. I never saw any of the birth certificates or anything from the hospital. Now, I took her to the hospital when she was having a baby. I was out in the hallway. And after she had the baby, I never saw any paperwork. No paperwork was presented to me at all.
I have 3 kids, and I know that my kid's dad, was there. They said, are you the father? Do you want to sign this birth certificate? There's no way that they cannot have you sign.
You might be correct on that, but I never signed the birth certificate. As a matter of fact, you can check the signature. If there's a signature on there, I'm quite sure it's not mine.
What in the world? So
Check
you
the
can
signature.
falsify documents at the hospital?
I did not falsify a document.
I see your name,
Do you see my signature, Your Honor?
but I do not see your signature.
Thank you.
What this particular birth certificate says is the certification that the information provided in the certificate is the truth to the best of their knowledge and belief. The person that made that statement, the signature is your mother's.
Right.
It's not his signature. So when he says he did not sign the birth certificate, that would be a true statement. Mr. Mcgraw, in this family photo, you admit that is you.
That's me, yes.
It looks like a happy family taking a photo.
Well, Your Honor, I stepped up, to try to do the right thing because those kids didn't have anything. She didn't have anything. And the only person that they knew during that time was me.
You admit you were in her life.
Yes.
And you also admit it was her understanding that you were her biological father.
Yes. That's her understanding. That's what mom told her. That's what her family members told her. But, a few times during the course of our relationship, mother would get angry, tell me I was not her father, And you didn't
ask for a DNA test, Dad? That's what I'm saying.
me?
You didn't ask for a DNA test like most people ask. I'm
I
not
did
going to
not ask for a DNA test because I was still taking care of you guys,
Right,
I
but
was
if you
still
believe
with
that
you
you
and
weren't my dad, why didn't you just ask her for, a DNA test versus me having to go through what I went through? Like now that I'm a grown person and I'm sitting there trying to figure out who my dad is, if you believed you weren't the dad, why didn't you just ask for a DNA test? To spare me just
because
that much.
Because your mother was something else. She put me through a lot, But each time I wanted to turn around and leave, she'd fall down, grab my legs, please don't leave me. I'm sorry. Then I look at these kids because they were very young at the time. I stepped up knowing that they wasn't my biological children, but they needed somebody. and I wanted to be there for him.
Specifically, how did you know you were not her biological father? Because presumably you were in a sexual relationship with her mother.
Exactly.
Yes. We would always go out in the field a lot when I was in the service. We'd go out 30 days, we'd come back for a week, do maintenance, and then go right back out again for another 30 days. Now, the following time, during the time of conception, now when I left, she had a period. Then when I came back after them 30 days, she wants to take a pregnancy test. And she took it, and I'm like, man, this has got to be crazy, She always had the habit of meeting strange people, to bring them in the house, let them live with us and everything, because I'm gone all the time. So when I come home, she had a family there, and this lady told me, she says, I never met you before, so I didn't know what type of person that you was. So I'm going to tell you that your girlfriend, she's been sleeping with a guy named Bill.
Really?
Yes. So I confronted him.
Ms. Mcgraw, I want to know from you, did you ever hear about a guy named Bill?
Never. I have never heard of anybody with the name Bill, Bob. I've never heard of anybody else but him.
I confronted this man, and he told me that he didn't want anything to do with her or that child.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Mr. Mcgraw,
yes, Your Honor.
Clearly you were in her life. At what point did you leave?
We went to Detroit. I had got out of the service and everything, and I was going to leave them down there in Georgia. But she begged me, we don't have nowhere to go. You're the only daddy that they know. Oh, please don't leave us. Okay, I brought her with me to Detroit. My mother said, why did you bring that girl there when you know that child wasn't yours? I said, Mom, they don't have anywhere else to go. I got us a house in Detroit. Now, we got into an argument, so, I left him at the house. I went down to see my mom, She called me. She asked me to come back home so we could talk. I said, you know what? I'm tired of going through stuff with you. I don't feel like I should come back. Oh, please come back. So I go. Now I go there, she treats me nice, we're sitting there having a nice conversation. All of a sudden, she's knocking on the wall. What are you knocking on the wall for? Oh, it's nothing, I'm just doing it. I come to find out, that was a signal for the girl that lived upstairs to call the police. And they arrested me, they put me in handcuffs, they let her go into my pocket, take my keys out of my pocket, take all of my money out of my pocket, and they took me to jail. They did not file any charges on me.
What was her motive for doing that?
For money. She just wanted the money. They let me out of jail, right? My mom turned her back against me. My brothers and sisters did. They say because you had no business bringing that girl up here, knowing that baby and that little boy was not yours.
How old was Ms. Mcgraw when you left?
When she was 2 years old.
Very little.
Yes.
Ms. Mcgraw, I know this is hurting you. What do you need to ask the man you believe to be your father?
I was told a different story. I was told they fought a lot, and she was tired of the fighting, and she left. When you're in foster care, and you're 2, you're raised by somebody else's family, you have to grow up with people making fun of you. So, and it makes me angry that he's just making my mom out to be this bad person because the simple fact is he's saying, okay, I'm not the dad, but if it was so bad in the beginning, why did you even stay? Why did you, why you didn't even think to say, okay, well, this could be my child. Why don't I see if this is my kid? They just left me there.
Ms. Mcgraw, while you are in foster care, you're thinking to yourself, why isn't my father coming to get me?
Yes, I was wondering where my dad was. You go through something and everybody's like their dad, their mom, their dad, and I wanted to know where mine was and why my dad didn't come for me. Why I had to be there and get to deal with the kids picking on me. It's hurtful. And so my grandma said, that she would look for him. For me, because my whole family knew of him. That's all they knew. My aunt,
But you were in foster care.
But I was in foster care, yeah. But my biological family, they weren't far. They all lived, pretty close by. So when I got put in foster care when I was 2, apparently she didn't get what she wanted. So they gave us back to the system. because she thought she was gonna get a house, she's gonna get a car, and she didn't. So I guess she felt like, okay, well, since I'm not getting this, let me go ahead and, give him back. So they gave us back. And so I had a close relationship with my grandma, I didn't see my mom. I only saw her like twice. And my grandma, she's like, it's gonna be okay. She's like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look for your father for me. But she got hung up with like his mom or somebody's social security number or something where she couldn't find him. So they were like, okay, well, the last place that we knew him to be was in California, and then she passed away. So, I couldn't go from there with anything.
Mr. Mcgraw, did you hear about any of this? Any of this?
No, ma'am.
Did you know she was in
Your
foster care?
No, Your Honor, I did not. Her mom called me when I was in California. She said, I just wanted to just tell you that I'm sorry for all the stuff I've done. I said, now, what about the baby? You going to tell the baby who her daddy is?
When I talked to you on the phone, you didn't say that. I asked you, when we talked on the phone and you asked me when my mom passed away, I told you that she passed away when I was 12. And then you said, oh, well, she called me.
Yes.
And you did say she apologized for everything that she did. And I said to you then, because you said that you didn't know where I was and that you didn't know what was going on. So I asked you when I talked to you on the phone, did you say, well, how is she? Or anything. I asked you, did you ask anything? You said no.
Because I asked your mother if she's going to tell you who your father was.
You didn't say that. That's not what you told me.
Well, that's what I told your mother. I might have not have told you.
And so when you asked her this question, how did she answer?
She told me she would.
She said she would.
That's all I know.
And that's why you never turned back. Yeah. Because that question just confirmed that she was not yours.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Mcgraw, you've brought a witness. I'd like to hear from him. Please stand, sir. State your name.
Danielle Drake.
Mr. Drake, you are?
Her brother.
You're the young man from this picture.
Yes.
I can see that. So do you remember Mr. Mcgraw in your life?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you remember hearing that he was your sister's biological father?
First of all, like you said, we really didn't have no father figures out there like that. So he was the only one that we knew of. So therefore, when my sister was born, that's all that my mom was talking about, like him being a father. I never heard the Bill name. I knew they went through their emotional issues and stuff like that and got into physical, emotional, verbal abuse fights and stuff like that, but never knew the stipulations about what they was arguing for. For him to even say that he wanted to step up, and that's the reason why he didn't back down, understood, respected. I'm a father myself. I take care of kids that's not mine and all that. You know what I'm saying? But the relevancy is like you have to bring some clarity to somebody, some way, somehow. You know what I'm saying? Some people need closure, and this is the gate that's still open.
And he moved on with his life, never knowing all that your sister went through.
Right. He left the doors open rather than come to her. You could have ended up being a man like, hey, yo, I know you, I took care of you, I love you to death. You know what I'm saying? I was there for you and your brother, I did X, Y, Z.
So, Ms. Mcgraw, what are you hoping for today?
I just wanted a relationship with my dad. I grew up without my dad. And that's it. I just wanted to have that relationship. Everybody has one. I didn't have one. I'm hurt and I'm angry. I just wanted to be able to say, hi, Dad, or call my dad. Like, right now we're okay, when we talk on the phone, he's there, but it's just, I don't want to feel like I'm burdening someone else if he's not my dad. Since he's saying he's not my dad, so I don't want you to feel like I'm burdening you or you have to deal with me. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to know for sure if you're my dad, since you're saying you're not, if you're my dad, and I'll be okay. And like I said, if you're not, I don't know who this Bill person is. I never heard of him, so I'm not going to look. It's no point. There's no last name.
I'll still be there for you if you let me,
I
will. I just didn't know all of this was going on during her life. Nobody contacted me. Nobody said anything. I didn't know anything.
So when you spoke to him and you heard her say, are you my dad?
Yes.
You knew exactly who she was.
Yes.
And your answer was?
I told her no, and then I started telling her the story of how all of this became.
Mr. Mcgraw, what are your hopes today?
Well, hope she can find out the truth today, if I'm her father or not.
I have the results for you. Are you ready to hear them? Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Mcgraw versus Mcgraw Jr., when it comes to 31-year-old Huaniki Mcgraw, It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mcgraw, you are not her father.
That's the story I've been trying to tell. I mean, I've been there for her. I still will be there, you know. And she let me.
I'm so sorry. I know that is not what you needed to hear.
If you let me, I'll be there, okay? I'll be there for you, okay? Nothing's gonna change, all right? Okay? Nothing's gonna change. I'll be there for you anytime you need me.
This other gentleman, have you heard of his whereabouts?
I'll do whatever I can to help, you know.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
going to say,
Yes.
if she needs your help,
If she do it, I'll be there.
you will help her?
Yes.
Try to identify this
Yes.
person? Thank you for that. Ms. Fisher, you say you thought you found the perfect older man to start a relationship and family with, but after having your first child and getting pregnant again, you claim he abandoned you and denied he fathered your second child, Xavier. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Meyer, you contend Ms. Fisher was a serial cheater who had numerous liaisons with different men during your relationship. You say you and the plaintiff were not even together when she conceived her child, and there is absolutely no way you are Xavier's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Fisher, you say Mr. Meyer abandoned you and your kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain.
After having our first son together, we lived together for about 3 years. We found out that after the new year, we were gonna have a second son. Him knowing that, he decided he didn't want anything to do with me. I ended up leaving, living with another family member, just to better our lives. We were doing a switch off, back and forth, watching our son together, and after that, we got into a lot of disagreements, just arguing a lot, turned into him not coming around at all.
And so, Mr. Meyer, Xavier's 9 months old. You say you haven't done anything because Xavier's
Honor.
not your child?
No, Your Honor, that is not my child.
Explain your position to the court.
We were not together when she got pregnant with Xavier. She's cheated on me multiple times. I came home, I found my mattress flipped over. I came home, I found multiple people in my bedroom.
I want to be clear, too. You all were in a relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say this is your second child, right, Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
So you have an older child.
Yes, I have a 3-year-old son who is almost 4 years old this year, named him after Michael. So he is a junior.
She wouldn't even name him Junior. She named him the second.
Well, my son is the second. That's the same thing.
I wanted to be Junior. She wouldn't let me.
Okay,
I think she knew it wasn't my son. That's why she wouldn't do it.
So she gave him the second?
So she named him the second instead. Yes, Your Honor.
So now you doubt your older son, too?
Yes, I don't believe he's mine, Your Honor.
If he thought for some reason that one of these children were not his after 3 years of having the first one, would you not take a DNA test from initial?
I asked you how many times about DNA test? How many times did I ask you?
I don't know, Mike, you tell me.
I thought Michael was mine. I took care of him for 2.5 years.
Hold on. I want to understand this. You all were in a relationship living together during the window of time when Xavier was conceived?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer, when you found out Ms. Fisher was pregnant, did you believe instantly this wasn't your child?
I had serious doubts this kid was my child right when she told me.
So take me back to the day she told you she was pregnant. What happened?
Well, she explained to me and told me she was pregnant. At the time before that, we were kind of on and off. We were fighting constantly. I don't think we were really together at that time. I know she was with other guys. I really didn't think the kid was mine at all. There was a chance the kid was mine. The dates didn't add up when she told me. She constantly changed her due dates. Like, nothing made sense. It added up.
And so, Ms. Fisher, when you got pregnant, you told him you were pregnant. Why? Because you thought, this is great, we're having our second baby?
Your Honor, yes. I was excited to find out a couple days after the new year of 2016 that I was going to be having another child. We had a house. We both were working at the time. Everything was okay. One night, I find him crying in bed and ask him what's wrong. He asks me, to not be around him anymore. But I'm trying to figure out why, because we're having another child. We already have one. He was not around for any of the doctor's appointments for the second child, so he would not know a due date in the first place.
I wasn't around because the kid's not mine.
Second of all,
you tricked me once, you ain't gonna trick me again.
Second of all, you couldn't.
Okay, listen. I'm trying to understand the issue as it relates to Xavier. You're saying you tell him you're pregnant, and his response is, I don't want anything to do with the child.
Yes.
Why is that your response? What information do you have which leads you to believe she was even sleeping with somebody else?
What proof, Mike?
As I said, all right, my neighbor told me some guys crawled out the window. Who was that? Who crawled out the window?
I would like to know myself.
Oh, well, you were there, obviously. I mean, the thing that made it up.
Wait a minute, your neighbor told you someone was crawling?
My neighbor said, hey, is your house broken into? I'm like, I don't know, I can go check, I don't think. Why would my house be broken? He said, I seen somebody crawling out of your window. I said, really? So I go run to my house. Nothing's gone or nothing like that. I can only assume it was a guy she was messing around with. No one took nothing.
Was there anyone crawling out the window, Miss Fisher?
I definitely object to that, considering the neighbor that we have is an older woman. Our houses are connected evenly. You cannot see any windows from the viewpoint of the neighbor 2 houses down.
What else?
Let me tell you about the biggest fight we've ever had. This will be something, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm having a bad day. I'm working at the time. We were working at the same place. I had to work a double. I was sick and not feeling good. I finally get off work. I call her. She's picking me up. I didn't have a car at the time. Wasn't driving. I'm calling and calling and calling. She doesn't answer the phone. I'm upset. I start walking. She comes to pick me up. She's clearly had sex with somebody.
Clearly?
Yes, visibly. She had something in her hair. It was not gel and it was not shampoo.
Okay. You believe there were bodily fluids in her hair?
For use of better words, yes.
I mean, we haven't heard that testimony before. Is that true, Miss Fisher?
No, Your Honor. This self-made bum standing next to me is given every excuse not to take care of any of his children.
I don't want to skip over this story because the real truth is this is a story that is. This is what his doubt is based on. Were you with someone else?
She admitted she cheated on me that night. She was so messed up and partying all night. I'm guessing she didn't understand or remember that.
This night is a
Probably
part
more
of
than
his
one guy.
imagination. I'm frustrated. I'm overworked. I'm tired.
The night in question.
That night never happened to where he asked me those questions.
And there never was an
picked him up.
instance when your hair was all over the place.
Don't make me tell the rest of the story.
So Xavier's been here for 9 months. You say you've been doing this on your own. He's not helping at all.
Absolutely.
Explain that to the court.
He didn't want to show up to the birth for Xavier. He didn't want to sign the birth certificate, which forced me to give my second son my last name after his first son has his last name.
Find his real father.
1 month later, I show up to his doorstep after I honked outside, come outside, take the baby out of the car. I physically make this man hold his own child for the first time, thinking that hopefully he would feel some sort of guilt in his heart and know that this is his child when he looks at him in his eyes. He refuses to see that. So standing there holding our baby, he cries, asking, I would just rather you not come around anymore.
I didn't want to take the baby. You know, this kid's not mine. I don't want to see him or hold him. You know, she's trying to pass me off, so I take the kid. You can clearly see the kid. It doesn't look nothing like me.
But she said you started crying.
I was sad about seeing the other son, Michael. I mean, even though the kid's not mine, I miss the kid to death. She wants to make me sound like I'm some low-life bum. I took care of that kid better than any person in the world. I was a good dad to Michael for the whole, 2.5, 3 years I was there for him.
So wait.
Your Honor.
You're saying you were really upset. It wasn't over not being there for Xavier when he was born.
I know Xavier's not my...
So you are 100% positive Xavier's not your child?
Yes.
Your Honor, he used to do a lot for his first son. Now he does nothing for his children.
It's because I found out that my first son wasn't mine. I mean, you know how that feels? That's some dirty stuff there, really.
His reason of belief is strictly because my second son has blue eyes and lighter hair.
We're both Mexican, yeah. The kid's got blue eyes. He's white. He's clearly lighter. Look, them kids don't have the same dad.
My grandmother
Any amount of money
has
says
red
them kids
hair
don't have the same dad.
and blue eyes.
Good luck finding the dad.
Listen. We in this courtroom, children come in all colors, all shapes, sizes. Listen, if we could base paternity on that, this courtroom wouldn't be needed. I want to understand, Mr. Meyer, did you hear anything else that would make you feel like this child could potentially be someone else's biological child?
Oh, yeah, I've even started saying about the stuff I've heard from multiple people.
What did you hear?
Oh, everybody said that. First it started off as, are you sure those kids are yours? Like they didn't want to really tell me up front in the truth that the kids are mine. Then it's like, I don't think them kids are yours, and multiple people tell me this.
So multiple people would come up to you and say, I really don't think those kids are yours.
I had a random person come up to me. I'm in the park with Michael. We're playing. Some random lady comes up to me and says, I know, Serena, that's not your son. I was shocked. I didn't know how to respond to that. I mean, like, how would you respond if somebody comes up to you and says, that's not your son, random
Why
out of
would
the
they
blue?
come up to you and say that?
I have no idea to this day. She was out of town for the week. I don't know.
Do you know who this woman is, Ms. Fisher?
No, Your Honor, because I have never left that house, not only for one day, but not especially for a week. So I know for a fact.
Not true at all. You claim she was at her mom's or wherever. I was taking care of Michael. What do you mean you never left for a week?
My mother lives in Cincinnati. The time of me living in that house for 3.5 years, she visited us 3 times total. One being the birth of Michael and 2 other visits.
Well, who knows what guy she was with for a week then, but I was taking care of your son that I thought was mine.
But what is going on here, though? I really want to understand this because it's like you're in a relationship, you're living together, and there's so much mistrust.
I didn't intend to be in a relationship with her from the very beginning. I didn't want a relationship with her. I clearly told her when we first met I didn't want a relationship with her.
So wait a minute, you tell her you don't want a relationship, but you end up in one.
Yes.
All right, and then you have one child, and that child's named after you, and you
We had a child,
continue sleeping with her, then potentially have another child. You are in a relationship.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out, did you decide to date a young woman and now you just don't trust her because you're just feeling like she hasn't had a chance to live or to date and that she's out doing things that, young people do? What is it about what she's doing?
She's a compulsive liar. She lies about everything. She's
You believe
extremely
she's lying?
shady. Oh, yeah.
And what type of lies have you caught her in?
I couldn't count how many lies I've caught her in. I mean, wow.
What does she lie about?
Let's see, what she's doing, where she's at, all kinds of things. I mean.
As in, he is referring to when I leave to go to my grandmother's house for a couple hours to visit. I'm not allowed to do that without him.
I don't care.
To my father's.
Do you believe he's
store.
just
Not
being
true at all.
possessive, Miss Fisher?
Absolutely, because I was young, naive. I am tired of doing this on my own. I want help. I need help. I put him on child support specifically so that when he would decide eventually one day to get employed after 1.5 years so that he can weasel his way out of not paying, I'm gonna have it set aside because being 32 years old, I, in the back of my head, believe that you will not stay unemployed the rest of your life. And if you are, that goes hand in hand with self-made bum, as I referred to earlier.
And so because he is not on Xavier's birth certificate,
I got my own house.
These results really do matter
Yes.
because you want him to support and be responsible for supporting Xavier as well.
Because it takes 2 to tango, Your Honor, yes.
Yeah, and you tango too much, so find his father.
And so I just want to be clear, Ms. Fisher, is it your contention that you've never cheated on Mr. Meyer throughout this relationship?
That is exactly what I'm telling you.
Wow.
Eye to eye, Your Honor. And you will not
lies so much
catch
you got
me in
used
a
to it.
lie because there's no way around the truth.
That's the truth.
And even during the time when you all were off, when you were broken up, you weren't sleeping with anybody else during that time?
Your Honor, we were not
Look at her
broken
face.
up in between the times of when we had gotten in a relationship up until I was 21 years old.
Not true at all, Your Honor.
You say that's not true?
No. There was days we'd break up for a couple days here, there, a week here. There was multiple times we broke up.
And did she get missing then? Or did you feel like she was sleeping with someone else during those times?
Oh, she probably was, but at the point we broke up, it didn't matter to me. I mean, if you don't want to be with me, you go do what you want to do. That's fine,
And he may be in reference to a time where I stayed with my grandmother during Christmas, and I had to stay with her for a couple of days because he was getting verbally vulgar with me a little too much, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I needed time to myself. And I took my first son with me to go stay with my grandmother.
So, Mr. Meyer, if you are Xavier's biological father, are you willing to step up to the plate?
Oh, absolutely. I know there's no chance that I'm his father, but if I was, yeah, I would take care of him, of course.
You are convinced you are not this
I
child's
know this.
biological
I know I'm
father.
not his father. Yes, Your Honor.
The sad part, Your Honor, is that he has convinced himself that these kids aren't him in denial of fear of dealing with reality. He will not put up with the responsibility of taking care of any of his seeds.
All right, well, in light of all of this, I think it's time for the results. Jerome? Thank you. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Fisher versus Meyer, when it comes to 9-month-old Xavier Fisher, in the case of Fisher versus Meyer, when it comes to 9-month-old Xavier Fisher, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Meyer, you are the father.
Do you have anything you would like to say to your son?
I just feel terrible right now. And I will be taking care of him.